Alright, it's time for the weekly Tanya Summary Shiur. And this week, 38 and we're doing chapters 6 through 8 of Igras HaKodesh. And without any further ado, let's get right into it. So the Alter Rebbe starts off by quoting a pasuk in Mishlei from Perkei Aleph, and it says, Zereh tzedakah secher emes. That someone that grows tzedakah, someone that plants tzedakah, has true reward. So the Alter Rebbe says we need to understand this pasuk. So the concept of planting tzedakah we're actually going to get to in chapter 8, which we happen to be doing this week. So that's good in and of itself. We'll have more of a chance to expound upon that. But the Alter Rebbe seems more concerned with the idea of emes. What is the truth that you get when you give tzedakah? So the Alter Rebbe quotes another pasuk that says Sitin emes to Yaakov, that which means give truth to Yaakov, and he asks the obvious question of, why would you think Yaakov doesn't have any truth to the point that you need to give him truth, which is why you're promising him truth? So essentially, the Alter Rebbe says we need to understand the concept of emes, the concept of truth. So the Alter Rebbe discusses the concept that was discussed earlier in Tanya, the concept that it's a real rachmanas on the soul, it's a real pity on the soul, something that needs to arouse mercy on the soul, the fact that the soul is so distant from Hashem, that really the soul is like a portion of Hashem, which is something we'll get into in the next chapter. Everything is really working together this week. So the soul is essentially an offshoot of Hashem himself in this world. And it's really distant, it's really separated. And what we want to do is we want to make that connection. We want to make that the soul should be in touch with divinity once more. So the Alter Rebbe says that Hashem himself is emes. He is the truth. It says, in our Chachamim tell us, that the signature of Hashem is truth. That's how he signs his name, Kaviyachal. The Alter Rebbe says the truth of Hashem is that Hashem is constant. He's never changing. He's above the concept of time. Anything which is eternal, never changing, that is what an ultimate truth is. The truth is something that never changes. It's not subject to change. If it's true now, it's true always. And Hashem is the constant of the universe. Everything in the universe, though, the constant of the universe is that Hashem is there. Hashem permeates everything completely. So Hashem is the truth, and the neshama is down here, and we want to be able to connect the neshama to Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe says the pasuk is advising the way to do this is through tzedakah, because through planting tzedakah, that is to say, through giving tzedakah, it's causing essentially like a planting that you plant something small perhaps, but then it grows into something else. That when we give tzedakah, what we're doing is we're acting as an expression of Hashem in this world, because that's what Hashem does. Hashem is constantly looking at us and feeling bad for us and trying to fill all of our needs. So when we give tzedakah, we're acting as an expression of Hashem in the world, and through that causes that we're a full branch of Hashem. We're fully connected. So through giving tzedakah, you're planting, like you're causing it to grow, emes, that Hashem should be connected to us. So that's the chapter 6 of Igras HaKodesh. Moving on to chapter 7. The Alter Rebbe discusses the line that we say, I believe it's quoted from Midrash, but it's very commonly said in the morning, Ashenu atev chalkeinu manoim gerelinu, etc. And the Alter Rebbe also quotes the pasuk of Tehillim that says, Havaya menos chalki v'chisi, that Hashem is my given share and my cup. That's the pasuk in Tehillim. So the Alter Rebbe says we kind of need to understand, what does it mean when we say that Hashem is my portion? We said Ashenu atev chalkeinu, the translation of that is, how fortunate are we that our lot is good, and how beautiful, no, I don't know if that's a good translation, but how beautiful is our, well, Gera literally means our raffle, but the implication is the thing that we won in the raffle. So how beautiful is that which we won in the raffle, and how nice is our inheritance. So that's the line, Ashenu atev chalkeinu u'manoim gerelinu. The Alter Rebbe says we need to understand when we're saying this, we're referring to Hashem, like it says in the pasuk in Tehillim, that Hashem is my portion. So what does it mean that we have a portion of Hashem? And the implication is that I have a portion, and everyone else has a portion as well, and my portion is Hashem. And how can you say that that Hashem is a portion? Like, what does that mean? So to make a long story short, because this is a summary shiur, the Alter Rebbe says that Hashem gives vitality to everything in the world. Everything in the world is fully permeated by Hashem. There's no existence without Him. So naturally, Hashem is the portion of everything. But what does it mean that Hashem is my portion? That everyone has a particular mitzvah, a particular thing that speaks to them, that's connected to their soul, that's rooted in their soul, or their soul is rooted in that mitzvah. And mitzvahs are from Hashem. So essentially, this mitzvah that we have, we can feel fortunate. Whatever the mitzvah is, the whole thing, how do you know what mitzvah is the mitzvah that your soul is particularly attuned to? But the concept exists. I'll quote some Gemaras to prove that point. And ultimately, that mitzvah is our portion in Hashem, the means by which we connect to Hashem in a unique way, in a way that no one else can, per se, even though they can do that mitzvah. But that's not the mitzvah that they're here to do. In general, there's a line in Chassidus, almost an interjection, that the Baal Shem Tov says that a neshama could come down to the world for 70 or 80 years and not even have an easy life, just to be able to do a favor for one yid, in Gashmias and even more so in Ruchnias. So, in general, Avos Yisrael is a very good mitzvah, but there's another concept that the Alter Rebbe quotes. For some people, it's the mitzvah of tzitzis. There's a bunch of stories of miscellaneous people about particular mitzvahs that they knew that they were attuned to, that they knew that was, like, in a sense, their reason for being here, tied up in their existence. But anyhow, that's the chapter 7 of Igros HaKodesh in summary, and now on to chapter 8. The Alter Rebbe starts off with quoting a line that we classically say in davening in the first bracha of Kriya Shema, Zeret Tzedakos Matzmiach Yeshuos, which translates to he plants tzedakah, he plants righteousness, and he grows salvation. So the Alter Rebbe says you got to understand this, and we also see in general there's a common theme between tzedakah and planting. So what is this? So the Alter Rebbe says, in short, the summary shiur, that when we plant, what we do, or what the farmers do, I don't really plant that much, but what the farmers do is they take a kernel, they put it in the ground, and then the kernel disintegrates, and then somehow a plant grows. So what's going on? It's not like the plant was hiding in the kernel the whole time. What it is that the kernel contains essentially instructions, what we would call DNA nowadays. And the DNA, when the kernel dissolves and all the sugars come loose, and the DNA is just out there, what happens is that, or it could happen even before it's out there, but essentially what happens is it kicks off a cycle that's really utilizing what's around it. It's utilizing the ground, it's utilizing the sunlight, it's utilizing the air. But it takes all of these things, these vast resources, which are so much beyond the kernel itself. The kernel disintegrates before it's even able to grow into a tall stalk of wheat, or whatever it is that you grow. The kernel is long gone by the time that happens, but what the kernel is it's an impetus for everything, all of these massive forces to grow and make something great, something which supersedes the small original kernel. You could plant one piece of corn and get 1,000 back, or something to that effect. I'm not a bucky in agriculture, but you plant one piece of corn and then suddenly you have a massive stalk of corn. It's not that the corn was in the kernel, it's that the kernel was the impetus. It's what kicked off this massive reaction of the ground and of the air and of the sunlight. So in a similar way, when we do the mitzvah of tzedakah, Hashem is unlimited. Hashem is the driving force of the whole world. A very common theme over these last few chapters. Hashem makes everything and he runs everything. But Hashem could interact with the world in different ways. The same way that, the ground could grow different things. The ground could sit and do nothing, essentially. It'll still sit, it'll still be the ground, it'll still be there. But when we give tzedakah, what we're doing is, it's like we're planting kindness in the world. That Hashem is so vast, and we're, in a sense, we're influencing him, we're planting within him, kaviyachol, the notion of kindness, that he should, not just that there should be a notion, there's a notion that existed before, in the same way that there's potential for the ground to give out any kind of plant, theoretically. But we're inspiring that Hashem should do kindness with his world. To this end, the Alter Rebbe quotes a pasuk in Tehillim that says, that he shines light to the upright in darkness. And then the end of the pasuk, it says, gracious and merciful and righteous. So the Alter Rebbe interprets this to mean that because the righteous are gracious and merciful, that is the reason for that Hashem shines light into the darkness for the upright. That because of the righteousness, or because of the gracefulness and the mercies of the righteous, that inspires Hashem to do so much good. The Alter Rebbe concludes by saying that this notion applies especially to tzedakah that's given to Eretz Yisrael, because Eretz Yisrael is directly in tune with spiritual matters. Quote some sources to say this. So essentially he says when you give tzedakah in Eretz Yisrael, it causes in a very direct way that Hashem should be inspired to do good with his entire world. So the Alter Rebbe was fundraising for Eretz Yisrael. He was very big into sending tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael. So this was his, in a sense, fundraising letter. Igros HaKodesh literally means holy letters, but yeah, they're letters from the Alter Rebbe. So this was a fundraising letter for Eretz Yisrael particularly. So it makes sense. And anyhow, looking forward to next week. Mirza Hashem, we'll be discussing the notions of what should be behind love and many other fascinating topics. Looking forward to Mirza Hashem.